It is amazing to be working in such an iconic location. And to be honest, the place never gets boring for me. It's amazing how it's always changing.
In the north lie the iconic Australian wide-open spaces. Standing proud in the middle of a red desert, the 350-metre-high Great Uluru Rock dominates its surroundings. The natives see it as a sacred place, full of memories and legends. Ceremonies have been held there for more than 10,000 years. During more than 100 years, the Australian state claimed the lands before giving them back to the natives in 1985. Nowadays, Uluru is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
My name is Ben. I'd actually only started being a ranger a year ago here at Uluru National Park. What's unique about Uluru is that it sits in this flat landscape and emerges from the landscape as a huge red rock. Uluru is actually one big massive rock we call a monolith that existed here about 550 million years ago, and it, over many millions of years, eroded with all the runoff coming from those mountains. And you'll see it's red on the outside. It's an Arcos sandstone, a type of sandstone, but it's the iron content in the sandstone that is causing it essentially to rust, that oxidization process, and that's why we see this lovely red colour on the outside.
Uluru is actually the visible part of a stone formation that appeared underground before coming to the surface through erosion. From a geomorphological point of view, this is an Inselberg, meaning a mountain island. Because of its sheer mass, the Uluru Rock attracts thunderstorms just like a lightning rod. This magnetic force leads to water and life in the middle of the desert.
The amazing thing when it rains here is that it brings out all these remarkable shapes even more. The whole thing really comes to life. It's incredible. All the black lines we see is where the water's running down, and you can see it disappearing behind these strong ridges here. And you really get a feel for the lovely water holes and rock holes as the water's flowing down the rock. So here at Kunju Gorge, you can see how wide the black marks are. That's where the water's coming down, and indeed that's an algae that stays on the rock even in dry times. They're all watermarks at different times of the year, and you get an indication of the water rushing over our feet at times here. This place is lovely and cool. On a hot 40-degree day, what a great place to be in. You can understand that for Anangu people, it would have been a marvellous place to come because it was, although there are no permanent water holes here at Uluru.
In this hostile plain, crushed by the heat in summer and swept by ice-cold winds in winter, Uluru and its ideal climate became a refuge for the ancestors of the Anangu people. Nowadays, this small community of 300 people still exists and continues to organise discreet ceremonies around the rock.
So I'd like to show you some spots here where the rock is very smooth and has been ground smooth from generations and generations of people coming here with round stones and grinding up the seeds from grasses, native grasses, and a lot of different species of native wattles, grinding up the seed to make flour for bread and to make fruit cakes that can be eaten straight away or carried on long journeys elsewhere. And right here, at the doorstep of the kitchen cave, we've got one of the many bush tucker plants that grow around Uluru. This one is called a bush plum, which the Anangu people call anguli. There's a green one here. They start off green, turn red, and they're ripe to eat straight off the bush when they're purple. I'd like to eat that juicy fruit now, but we're in a national park, so I'm not going to pick it, but that's quite a tasty. So for Anangu people, as far as they're concerned, they've been living here since the dawn of time. An oral culture where the cultural knowledge and traditions are passed on orally, word of mouth, from generation to generation, keeping that culture strong and alive for thousands and thousands of years. You have to understand that Anangu believe that the world started off as a flat, featureless place, and out of the earth arose these creation ancestors with the abilities to move between human or animal form, and as they moved through the world, created everything we see today. Big mountains, trees, people, plants, everything.
Anangu call the period during which the world was created the time of dreaming, when the legendary ancestors came up with the laws Aboriginal societies are built upon. The scars in the stone were caused by the fight between the spirits of two snakes. This land is full of spiritual forces and still inhabited by the spirits of these ancestral creators.
At sunset, that the brightness of Uluru, the bright red, really stands out. Some days it just makes you stop in your tracks and say, wow, look at this, look how red this is. I don't get sick of the redness of this place. It is amazing to be working in such an iconic location. And to be honest, the place never gets boring for me. It's amazing how it's always changing. There is no place on earth like it. It's unique in every way.
The Australian outback designates the country's arid hinterland. Only 5% of the country's population live in this place, as big as 2/3 of Europe. This big nothing, as it is often described, is actually very rich. Colours reign supreme here, each of them present in many shades. Yellow for the sand, green for the vegetation, and especially red for the land and the stone. The ground is often covered by a spiny bush called spinifex. Nettles are soft like velvet in comparison. Rock formations can still be seen on the horizon, sometimes just hills, sometimes small mountain ranges. The history behind the exploration of the outback by Europeans is dramatic. Many settlers disappeared in this endless landscape with no means to survive in such extreme conditions. The rescue missions sent to find them often ended tragically. The outback can be merciless, and yet the natives did domesticate this ancestral land for almost 60,000 years and have succeeded in living in harmony with the hostile wilderness. This red and endless land is Australia's very essence.